Among the most important words in the Old Testament, and especially in the prophets, is justice. Like the English word, it has a range of meanings, some legal, some social. But in addition to what we think of as justice, the word is also used to describe the very nature of God. If for no other reason than that, it is really important for us to understand what it means. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. For many of us seminary graduates, the word justice is almost inseparable from the word social. We talk about social justice to describe the kind of justice the Old Testament prophets spoke passionately about. There is perhaps no more familiar passage on justice than Amos 5:24, which Martin Luther King famously quoted, "But let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." When Amos or the other prophets use the word justice, they are referring especially to the treatment of the poorest and least powerful in society, people who are easy to take advantage of. Read through the prophets, and you will find a laundry list of ways the people of Israel found to privilege the wealthy and the powerful at the expense of the poor. This is what the prophets describe as injustice. Justice, on the other hand, is not about prosecuting the wealthy. It's not about legal justice in the sense of justice being handed down by a judge and jury. It is justice in the sense of treating all people equally, treating even the most humble with full respect, treating the poor with generosity and understanding. Some people these days freak out at the very mention of the modern term social justice, though. They think it is some sort of Marxist plot. But it is simply a fair description of what the Old Testament prophets meant, a kind of shorthand to summarize what they were talking about. Van Harvey, who taught religion at a variety of universities, including Princeton, the University of Pennsylvania, SMU, and Stanford, defines justice in part in this way. It is a term for the proper relationship which should obtain between man and man in his social life. Social justice. But that's not the only thing justice means in the Bible. It can also refer to the righteous judgment of God, who casts upon us, as a result of our sin, the kind of justice we need. It can refer to the formal administration of justice by the king or other officials. And it can be used in the context of distorting the basic norms of justice by favoring some, read the wealthy, over others, read the poor. Perhaps most importantly, though, it is used to describe who God is and what God does. In Deuteronomy 10 we read, "For the Lord your God is a God of gods and Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who is not partial and takes no bribe, who executes justice for the orphan and the widow, and who loves the strangers, providing them food and clothing. You shall also love the strangers, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." Justice, you see, is part of the very nature of God. God's treatment of God's people, and indeed of all people, is rooted in the idea that God does justice because God fundamentally is just. And because God is just, God requires us to treat others justly as well. Psalm 72 reads, "Give the king your justice, O God, and your righteousness to a king's son. May he judge your people with righteousness and your poor with justice. May the mountains yield prosperity for the people and the hills in righteousness. May he defend the cause of the poor of the people, give deliverance to the needy, and crush the oppressor." But it is perhaps nowhere better stated than in the familiar words of the prophet Micah. "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God. If you want to know what God requires of his people, look no farther than this. It is justice, the right treatment of all people. Tomorrow, a related term, justification. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.